Once upon a time, a poet prince returned from prison in England to a crumbling medieval castle on the banks of the river Loire. That prince was Charles d'Orléans, and little did he know he was about to make his mark on French history. Welcome to the Château Royal de Blois, where poetry, politics, and power all collided rather spectacularly. Located in the Loire Valley, the city of Blois is about 2.5 hours away from Paris. It may not be the flashiest names on the French chateau circuit, but this place accidentally became the place to be. The original building here dated back to the 9th century, owned by the Counts of Blois and the Orléans family. The Orléans were a cadet branch of the French royal family, so they were no stranger to chateau life. In the 15th century, however, the Orléans found themselves in line to the throne, and Château de Blois suddenly became a royal castle. It all started with Charles d'Orléans, nephew of King Charles VI. He became one of France's most celebrated poets, but unfortunately for him, at the time he was also a soldier. It was the period of the 100 Years' War between the French and the English. So at 21 years old, Charles d'Orléans went to fight in the disastrous Battle of Agincourt, which the French lost roundly. Being a prince, Charles was captured and taken to England as a hostage. He spent 25 years in England as a prisoner, writing love poems to his beloved wife Bonne, who sadly died before he was ever released. When he returned to France, he settled at the Château de Blois and threw himself into renovating the chateau from its ancient keep. And it's a good thing he did, because after remarrying at the advanced age of 68, he became father to a little boy named Louis. And an accident of fate was going to make this Louis king. An accident, literally. In 1498, the actual king, Charles VIII, was walking really fast to his tennis game when he walked into a doorframe at the Château de Blois and promptly died. Having no children, the throne went to Louis, his second cousin once removed. If this all sounds a bit iffy, it was. Louis decided he needed to consolidate his position. He had his marriage to Charles's sister annulled and decided to marry Charles's wife instead. Yes, that's how things worked in those days. The wife in question was the spectacularly rich Anne of Brittany, who was not pleased, but she didn't have much choice in the matter. She moved into the Château de Blois with the newly crowned King Louis XII, and the royal court of France followed. This was now a royal castle. Louis XII and Anne of Brittany didn't have any male children, so they married their daughter Claude to the next in line to the throne, Francis I. Yes, this is the same Francis who brought Leonardo da Vinci and the Mona Lisa to France. Francis was very much inspired by Italian architecture, and while his wife Claude was busy having 7 children in 10 years, Francis was busy renovating her childhood home. He added a dramatic new wing to the Château de Blois in full Renaissance style, along with that very famous spiral staircase. This staircase wasn't just for getting upstairs, it was for theater. From here, Francis could descend dramatically while courtiers watched from the courtyard. Practical? Debatable. Regal? Absolutely. But not all of Blois' stories are so romantic. Fast forward to 1588, when the wars of religion were tearing France apart. Francis's grandson, King Henry III, was desperate to keep power. His mother was a certain Catherine de Medici, and if it's one thing the Medicis knew, it was how to keep power. Catherine and her son Henry invited their political rival, Henry, the Duke of Guise, to the Château de Blois under the guise of reconciliation. Instead, the Duke walked into a trap. Henry had him assassinated in the king's own private chambers. The next day, the Duke's brother, the Cardinal of Lorraine, was also handled. And by handled, we mean murdered. So let's just say never RSVP to a Medici royal invitation without a bit of caution. This was one of the most notorious political murders in French history. You can still see Catherine de Medici's cabinet of curiosities at the Château de Blois, all lined with hidden drawers and secret compartments. Rumor says that she stored poisons there. The truth? We may never know. After centuries of royal intrigue, Blois fell out of favor. Versailles had become the new center of power, and Blois, once so lively with poets, painters, and plotters, was quietly abandoned. During the French Revolution, it was pillaged and nearly destroyed. With all its furniture and art gone, the bones of the place remained, but just barely. It wasn't until the 19th century that Blois was rescued from total ruin by the French state and turned into one of the country's oldest official historic monuments. Today, walking through Blois is like flipping through the pages of French history. You got Gothic, Renaissance, and classical architecture all side by side. It doesn't get the same crowds as the Château de Chambord nearby or the Château de Versailles, but that may be part of its magic and poetry. For more information on how to get to the Château de Blois and the Loire Valley, there is a link in the description to my website for more details about visiting the chateau. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories from France and beyond. Thanks for watching. À bientôt.